We had a nice two-game comeback after the loss of Wyoming. The Air Force win was hard fought. Our team was prepared. They did a great job. And then to follow that up against a really good Utah State team that took us to overtime at their place to battle and win that game in the fashion that we did, we feel pretty good about ourselves heading into the New Mexico game this weekend. So we're healthy. We'll do our first real prep day on the court for New Mexico today. We've obviously got some things to work on. New Mexico is an excellent basketball team that is playing really good right now. They present many problems. They have the defending Conference Player of the Year back, Kendall Williams, who played outstanding last night against Las Vegas. They have Cameron Bairstow, who is in conversation along with Xavier Thames for possible Player of the Year this year in the conference. They returned 4 starters from last year's conference and tournament championship team, and so they will present great problems that we look forward to figuring out the answers for. We've won 5 out of our last 8 games at the pit, so we've had great success in the building, but we've also had good teams that have gone in there. So hopefully this team will be up to that task, and we will be ready to battle the Lobos Saturday night. I will take any questions.
You mentioned the pit. What is it about playing in New Mexico that makes it so difficult?
Their fans are incredible, a lot like ours here at Viejas. They have great fan support. They're loud. They're very supportive of their team without being too hard on the opposition. They're just good basketball fans. They know good basketball. They appreciate good basketball. So they're loud, they're proud, and they make it hard on the opposition. And obviously the other point that everybody talks about is altitude. We think we've done a good job performing in altitude over the years. Obviously, we have a deeper bench than we've ever had. So if we get a guy that's tired early in the game, we're not afraid to go to our bench. We've had multiple players contribute at different levels during games all season long. And so maybe we go to the bench a little quicker than normal, but we've done that and been successful with that over the past.
Greg, can you talk about what are some of the things that this bench brings that you didn't have from last year's team that seem to be more of your starting 5 with a little bit of help every now and then?
You know, I think we've always had good benches. I think as coaches, maybe this year more than ever, we've trusted in our bench. And we've thrown them into tough situations early in the year. And so now that we're at this point in the season, we know what to expect out of them. I think a lot of times benches are developed in times of trouble when a guy's hurt, then a guy gets an opportunity. But I think as coaches this year more than ever, we've said, let's throw them into the fire early, let's see how they respond. And because we did that, we have something to base on when we throw them in there. We know that they're capable of performing at a high level, and we're not as fearful to go to them on a first-time basis in a big game.
Was that like a concerted effort just because in response to the veteran presence that you guys lost last year? Or, I mean, what kind of sparked that thinking? Let's go to them earlier. Let's have them kind of battle-tested for the meat of the season.
I think a lot of us using our bench more is a direct result of our recruiting efforts. I think as we continue to recruit better players, our bench gets deeper. And so it's not like we have 7 good players or 8 good players or 9 good players. Everybody on our roster is capable of competing. And so as the recruiting has gotten better, as our trust in our players has grown, we've become more open to playing more players early in the game and early in the season. And like I said, I think the nature of the way we play, we're pressing more than we've ever pressed. And because of the way we play, it has made it beneficial to play more players because we get guys tired. You can't press all game with 6 or 7 guys. And so we'll use 9 or 10 players because of the way we play. And nobody else in the conference plays like we do as far as full court pressure. Everybody presses to a degree, but Coach Fisher, Coach Hudson, our entire coaching staff has done a great job saying this is a staple of our team. We're going to pick up in the full court, and because we're going to pick up in the full court, we need to play more players. And I think we've done a good job managing that over the course of the year.
Spencer had mentioned the other night that he'd spoken with you after the loss to New Mexico last season and said, I can't wait to face them again, and I can't, you know, it's going to be different this time around. Do you feel like the whole team kind of has that mentality towards this game?
I think both teams have great respect for each other. And so when you're a player and you come to a San Diego State or you come to a New Mexico, this is the kind of game you wait to play, where you're challenged at your highest level. And so we have great respect for New Mexico. And Skyler, I remember sitting on the bench with him at the end of the game last year in the conference tournament as a young freshman. And I talked to him. I said, Skyler, obviously this is a standard you need to meet if we're going to be as good as we need to be. And it was just a freshman talking about, I need to get stronger, I need to get more experienced. And so I thought it was great that Skyler said, I know I have to get better in order for us to be as good as we can be. So I think he is excited to go in there and have a second shot to prove to himself and prove to us that he's growing as a player.
You know, you mentioned altitude. There's the physical altitude of where you know the university lays, and then there's the player altitude. They've got two huge guys that make pretty strong moves to the basket all the time. How are you going to counter them?
Yeah, New Mexico's big men are elite players. A lot of times someone will have a 7-footer or a 6'9" guy, but they're thin as a railing. These guys are grown men. They're enormous human beings. And so when they carve out space in the paint, they're hard to move. So we've either got to find a way to move them off their sweet spots or else get around in front of them to keep them from catching the ball. So they present a challenge that we haven't seen probably size-wise since we played at Kansas, where you'd say these guys are elite bigs. Now, a lot of teams have one really good big man. They have two that they start. And so that obviously provides a challenge for us as a coaching staff and a team to try to come up with a game plan where we limit what they can do against us, while at the same time having to stop good guards. So I think both coaching staffs are hard at work in front of their film sessions and trying to find ways that they can best prepare their teams to be successful. And not just this game. We meet again in a short 2 or 3 weeks. So it's going to be 2 games that come in rapid succession. And who can be ready the first game and who can make the adjustments leading into the second game. Because it's not like most seasons. We're playing them twice in the back half of the schedule, which is an interesting scenario for us.
Do you approach that differently than you would, you know, if you played them once early in the season and then once much later on?
I think when you play them early in the season, both teams are probably trying to find their way a little bit. And by playing them twice late in the season, both teams pretty much know what they are. They know what their strengths are. They know what weaknesses they still may have that they need to get better at. But I think both teams know who they are. They know what they do well. And so it's going to be 2 teams that are pretty confident, pretty happy with where they are right now, and ready to be tested. These are 2 teams that are going to be in the NCAA tournament, in my opinion. So this is going to be a real challenge for us playing at their place, and obviously for them to come back and play at Viejas in a couple weeks.